So, out of all the bands in the world, why did you pick Wolf Alice to make a film about?
Well, because they're the best band in the world. No, it's like we were looking for a band touring Britain. We had like a sort of 6-month window to where we thought we should make the film, and we've been talking about doing something like this for a long time. So we just started looking around for a band that, you know, we were touring Britain, they were living on a bus, wanted a young band, wanted a band that were a good live band. And, you know, then, you know, we met up with their manager, Tav, and he turned out coincidentally he managed a band called Ash, which were really the starting point of the idea like years and years before. And I like Angela Carter, and they're named after Angela Carter's short story. And Theo, the bassist, used to live next door to me, and he used to go in the same class at school as my daughter. So lots of little coincidences, and I thought, okay, this would be a good idea. And we met them, and they were up for it.
Oh, cool. So you knew Theo quite well then?
No, I didn't know. No, so it was like briefly and quite a while ago. But I guess because of that, I probably heard a little bit more about the band before than I might otherwise. You know, and you know, and obviously they're a great live band as well.
Yeah. Were they aware of your work?
I don't know. You'd have to ask them.
Oh, okay.
I think they pretended to be, but they probably weren't. The manager probably told them to just nod.
How did they react to being filmed all the time? While on tour?
Well, look, we tried to. I mean, again, you probably have to ask them what it felt like from their point of view. From our point of view, from my point of view, we were just trying to keep out of their way. It is, you know, I like doing observational films, even when it's with actors and in fictional situations. I like to try and let the actors get on with it as much as possible. And so we had like 2 actors with us, so that and the idea was that we sort of saw the tour and saw the whole experience of living on the bus from their point of view. So really, we tended to be with them, you know. So like if Estelle was going into, you know, the dressing room with the band, then we'd go with her. So in a way, there was always someone in between us and them, really. Either Joe, the guy in the crew, or Estelle, and I, you know, kind of felt like that. You know, my hope was that would help, you know, not to make it feel like we weren't too intrusive. And we certainly didn't ask them to do anything. You know, everything, you know, that they do in the film is just what was happening spontaneously, and we were filming it.
24-Hour Party People is probably one of your most famous films. Is there anything in Wolf Alice that reminds you of those famous Factory Records bands like Joy Division or the Happy Mondays? I mean,
look, I think what I like about, what I think is interesting and attractive from the point of view of someone who makes films about music and bands is that, you know, in film it's a very industrial process usually. You know, we try and get away from that. We try and work with small crew and people we know. But in general, you know, when you make a film, it's like a short period of time. It's like 7 or 8 weeks. It's a large crew, like 100 people. Most of them you don't know. It's quite industrial. You have to raise the finance first. There's a lot of people telling you what to do and not to do. And whereas a band, you know, it's much more organic. Even though people moan about the record industry and all that sort of stuff, but nevertheless, most bands get together when they're young, when they're not successful, and they spend quite a lot of time playing in their bedrooms or in their garage or going to pubs before they ever have any success. And even if it then becomes complicated after that, they've got that kind of organic thing that they know each other really well. And even if they hate each other, they've got an intimacy. I think that's probably true, you know, for, you know, all the bands at Factory Time, certainly. And, you know, true of Wolf Alice, that there is something very kind of personal, you know, and it's a kind of a long journey for a band. You know, and on the other hand, Factory, what I like about Factory was very chaotic and messy, where I say Wolf Alice, and especially the crew, because we were looking from the point of view of the crew. The crew of Wolf Alice, you know, very experienced and hardworking and not at all messy crew.
Some of the band members feature more prominently than others. Was that because some were shyer, or that's just how it worked out in the cutting room?
Just how it worked out. I mean, I don't know who, I'm not sure who features more than the other, but no, I mean, we just filmed what happened. You know, so it was. There's no kind of plan. There was no plan always. It was like okay, the tour is starting in London, goes all around Britain, ends up back in London, and we were just like, okay, we're going to film what happens, see what happens.
Okay, the film is sort of 80% documentary, 20% fictional plot. Was it always that split?
It wasn't clear. It wasn't, to be honest, it wasn't clear how it would work out. I mean, to be honest, at the beginning, you know, a little bit, it was like, maybe we'll always be like in the dressing room or on the bus or whatever, and then as they walk on stage, we sort of fade to black, and then we pick them up after, you know, it could have been that there was no music in the film. But then having filmed 16 gigs over, you know, the 3 weeks, whatever, and the fact that, you know, that you kind of realise, that in a way all that day there's all that hanging around, all that preparation, all that work for that 1 hour. So it felt like that'd be crazily perverse not to use that. And it felt actually it'd be more interesting that you see them. Obviously they do the same set every day. It's exactly the same set every day, but all these different places, and to see the energy the band put into it, but also like the enthusiasm and the rapport between the crowd and them. That felt like actually a really important part, and we should have a lot of that. So it wasn't those sort of how the film would work out wasn't clear at the beginning. The idea was, let's go on this thing and let's try and capture our experience of it and try and show our experience of it as honestly as we could.
If you could pick any band in the world to be in from all music history, which would it be?
Oh, I don't know. It's like last week I went to Paris to meet Marianne Faithfull, and she was talking about her time in the 60s. Say that was a pretty lively period. But I'm not sure which particular band, but I think there's a kind of a sense at that point with bands like the Stones and all those bands around town, and Marianne herself, that it was something new and fresh. So that there was that moment where everything was new and it seemed like it was exciting. And there's a whole kind of liberation way. The more in a way it felt like to be honest and you should be as extreme as possible. So I think it would be definitely in that era would have been the most exciting time to be in a band.
Can you give me an update on The Trip season 4?
No, look, at the end of each trip, it's been like, okay, we're not going to do another one. So for the moment, we're not doing another one.
Oh, okay, cool. In The Trip, Steve and Rob do some really great impressions. I wondered whether you do any good impressions.
No, and I'm definitely not going to have it now. Good try, though. But no. And also, when you're on set with Steve and Rob, no one would ever dare try an impression because they're not very generous towards other people's impressions.
Do you like the Mick Jagger one?
Yeah, I mean, it was kind of like weirdly became quite a lot of music stuff in the third one, sort of slightly, but I think it started by Bo. Obviously, be a lot of they said in front of a lot of famous people died that year, and quite a few music ones. So the whole Bowie thing then triggered off a whole rash of music impressions.
Yeah.